Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. This is subject science, part 9th class students. In previous two videos, we have discussed about Newton's second law of motion and its mathematical formulation. We also discussed the importance of second law of motion, Newton's second law of motion. Here in this video, we will continue the second law of motion. There is you should remember this point. Second law of motion is also called actually the basic law of motion. It's a basic law of motion. It is the basic law of motion. Why? Because Newton's first law of motion can be obtained from second law of motion. That's why it's called the basic law of motion. How can we obtain first law of motion from second law of motion? We will start from Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law of motion क्या हमें इसका स्टेटमेंट क्या है? इसका स्टेटमेंट यही है, rate of change of linear momentum is directly proportional to the change in momentum is directly proportional to the applied force. Rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the applied force. More is the force, means जो हमने पढ़ा था, more is the force applied to a body, more is the change in the momentum of the body. Change in the momentum of the body. ये हमने पढ़ा है न्यूटन्स सेकंड लॉ ऑफ मोशन. ये भी हमने पढ़ा था जो another form, F is equal to ma, force acting on it. This is the mathematical form of Newton's second law of motion. Force acting on a body is equal to the mass of the body, product of mass of the body and acceleration of the body. This is the Newton's second law of motion. हम यही से स्टार्ट करेंगे second law of motion. इससे हम Newton's first law of motion भी deduce कर सकते हैं. F is equal to ma, this is the second law of motion, और m is the mass of the body, so a is acceleration. अगर acceleration हम कैसे निकालते हैं? Change in velocity divided by time. Change in velocity कैसे निकालते हैं? Final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time taken. यानी F is equal to mv minus a divided by t. This is also Newton's second law of motion. यहाँ हम क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे, t इंटू एफ, ये बनेगा f इंटू टी इज इक्वल टू v मल्टीप्लाइड बाई m मल्टीप्लाइड बाई v माइनस u. ठीक, अब हम न्यूटन फर्स्ट लॉ ऑफ मोशन रिकॉल करेंगे. एक बॉडी रेस्ट में है, वो रेस्ट में रहती है. मोशन में अगर है वो मोशन में रहेगी until no force is applied on the body. It means that there is no external force. When there is no external force, when external force is zero, when there is no external force, when no external force is applied, no external force is applied, this means F is equal to 0. When no external force is applied, this means that F is equal to 0. हम इसका नाम देंगे इक्वेशन 1. यही F is equal to 0 हम इसमें पुट करेंगे, ये बनेगा this LHS becomes 0. Here it becomes 0 equal to F के बदले 0 आएगा. Here F 0 into t equals 0 in m into v minus u. और ये भी लिखेंगे हम और m into v minus u equal to 0. Here m is not equal to 0. ऐसे भी लिखेंगे m is not equal to 0. Mass of body is never 0. mass of body is never zero. It means that v minus u is equal to 0. यहाँ आपको याद रखना है, the product of these two terms is 0. Either m is 0 or v minus u is 0. तभी ये इनका प्रोडक्ट 0 के बराबर आएगा. ऐसे भी लिखेंगे हम, मगर m is not equal to 0. This means that v minus u should be 0. हम लिखेंगे v minus u is equal to 0. यहाँ ऐसे भी लिखेंगे हम, इसको हम करेंगे m into m v, प्रोडक्ट करेंगे m v minus m u equal to 0. उसको ट्रांसपोज करेंगे इक्वल टू, ये बनेगा यहाँ प्लस m u. ऐसे भी लिखेंगे हम, आपकी मर्ज़ी कैसे लिखोगे. v minus u हमने ऐसे लिखा है m into v minus u equal to 0. m is never equal to 0. This means that v minus u is equal to 0. ये बनेगा, this हम ट्रांसपोज करेंगे u को, ये बनेगा v is equal to u. v is equal to u. What does it mean? What does it mean? v is the final velocity, u is the initial velocity. This means that the body is in motion. Its initial velocity and final velocity, these velocities are same. It means that the body is in uniform motion. Uniform continues. It continues to move with this velocity. U and v are equal. It means that when there is no force, applied on a moving body, the body will continue to move in that uniform motion. This is the second law of motion. It means that ऐसे भी हम बोलेंगे, the body, since v is equal to u, the body will continue to move with the same uniform velocity throughout the time when no external force is applied, on the body. Further ये होगा सेकंड पार्ट इसका, यूनिफॉर्म मोशन का. इसका सेकंड पार्ट आता है यूनिफॉर्म मोशन, रेस्ट भी आता है. A body is rest, it remains at rest. A body is motion, it remains in motion. ये हमने डिस्कस किया है मोशन का. अब हम रेस्ट लेंगे. If u is equal to 0, if here u is equal to 0, it means what does it mean? It means that the body is initially at rest. इसको हम यहाँ पुट करेंगे, u के बदले हम 0 लिखेंगे. This implies v भी क्या बनेगा 0, यानी final velocity of the body is also 0. It means that body is initially at rest and finally it is also at rest. It means that the body is at rest and it will continue to be at rest when no force is applied on the body. This is the first part of the Newton's first law of motion. Combining these two parts, this and this, we can say that a body continues. If a body is at rest, it will remain at rest. If a body is motion, it will continue to be in motion when no external force is applied on the body. This is the Newton's first law of motion, and we have deduced this Newton's first law of motion from Newton's second law of motion. We started from second law of motion and came to the conclusion of Newton's first law of motion. That is, since we had deduced Newton's first law of motion from Newton's second law of motion, that is why second law of motion is also called basic law of motion. This is the specialty of Newton's second law of motion. This is actually Newton's second law, specialty of Newton's second law. Now, what is the specialty of Newton's second law of motion? Specialty of Newton's second law of motion is that it is the basic law of motion, because from Newton's second law of motion we can obtain Newton's first law of motion. ठीक है, जो हमने पढ़ा था अब हमने पढ़ा है न्यूटन्स फर्स्ट लॉ ऑफ मोशन एंड न्यूटन्स सेकंड लॉ ऑफ मोशन. ठीक. अब हम रिकॉल करेंगे, कल भी हमने डिस्कस किया था पिछले वीडियो में, यानी फर्स्ट लॉ ऑफ मोशन. इट इज़ द फर्स्ट लॉ ऑफ मोशन जो है वो डिफिनीशन ऑफ फोर्स, दैट गिव्स द डिफिनीशन ऑफ फोर्स, दैट गिव्स द एग्जैक्ट डिफिनीशन ऑफ फोर्स. एंड सेकंड लॉ ऑफ मोशन गिव्स द मेजरमेंट ऑफ फोर्स. कैसे मेजरमेंट ऑफ फोर्स करेंगे हम फ्रॉम सेकंड लॉ ऑफ मोशन? इसके लिए मैंने यहाँ न्यूमेरिकल ली है एक क्वेश्चन. व्हाट फोर्स वुड बी नीडेड टू प्रोड्यूस एन एक्सेलरेशन ऑफ 10 मीटर पर सेकंड स्क्वायर ऑन अ स्टोन ऑफ मास 3 किलोग्राम. यहाँ हमें फोर्स मेजर करना है. एक स्टोन है, इसका मास 3 किलोग्राम है, इसको हमें एक्सेलरेशन देनी है, एक्सेलरेट करना है with this acceleration 10 मीटर पर सेकंड स्क्वायर. हम इसके लिए हमें कितना फोर्स अप्लाई करना है स्टोन को, हम यहाँ निकाल सकते हैं. दिस इज मेजरमेंट, दिस इज द फोर्स. सोल्यूशन ऐसे हम क्या, व्हाट इज गिवन टू अस, दैट इज मास ऑफ स्टोन. हम इसको हम एम स्मॉल एम से करेंगे डिनोट 3 किलोग्राम. व्हाट इज द एक्सेलरेशन विच इज टू बी प्रोड्यूस्ड इन द स्टोन, दैट इज acceleration denoted by A, that is 10 meter per second square. Both are in SI units, therefore we have no conversion of units is not needed. Using the second law of motion, that is F is equal to ma. This is the second law of motion, mathematical form of second law of motion, ma, or F is equal to, what is m, that is 3, what is A, that is 10, 3 into 10, okay, 30 Newton. Hence 30 Newton force is needed to accelerate, to produce an acceleration of 10 meter per second square on a stone of mass 3 kilogram. इस तरह से हम measurement of force कर सकते हैं by using Newton's second law of motion. Hence ये आप लोग याद रखना, first law of motion gives the definition of force, second law of motion gives the measurement of force. इस तरह हम of numerical दूसरे कर सकते खुद ही, ये आपको खुद करना है. व्हाट इज एक्सेलरेशन प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय फोर्स ऑफ 50 न्यूटन एक्सर्टेड ऑन बॉडी ऑफ मास 5 किलोग्राम. दोबारा पढ़ूंगा मैं. व्हाट इज एक्सेलरेशन प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय फोर्स ऑफ 50 न्यूटन एक्सर्टेड ऑन बॉडी ऑफ मास 5 किलोग्राम. ये आप खुद कर सकते हो बाय यूजिंग न्यूटन सेकंड लॉ ऑफ मोशन. थैंक्स.